to get like rejuvenation back into the party astronauts. I mean, particularly here this Inferno is really crazy. I think where we're, about to bring the conversation about where, I mean, you're specifically ripping off of a 13-3, where I think the party astronauts are a lot better than on an Inferno. I think that result, sticking next to, some of the closer losses and stuff that they've had alongside it, are, more of what you're probably to expect here. So there's probably a certain confidence in this. When I was talking about bringing new energy into the roster, I wouldn't refer particularly live right now. I was meaning Austin, a guy that was always kind of vocal and, loved his time on Mythic, but always talked about how they never really matched his vibe. And he was always kind of being the one that was encouraging people to get on for practice, more than just kind of a content team. So I think him as a second caller here brings a lot of this energy back to this team. And so we got to see what PA are like bouncing back on this Inferno.
A lot of brain on that team, as you've noted, but Wolfie using his in order to play around the smoke, to which they've not actually caught. He's going to get 2 kills, fall back into the smoke. Now he can play a little slower. Now he can relax and wait for somebody to get there, or he can jump the gun and put his right down the throat of OG Wizard as he attempts to plant. No dice, a 3v2 post-plant finally now.
Bentley loses one of his soldiers on the site, losing bullets out of ammo. It's Sandman. With those dually, he's going to get a double himself, and it's Mason in the details there to get the defuse. And Party Astronauts with a pretty clean route up to A, but it looks like LAG is swinging in today, Tony. I know you were covering the Defuse the Stigma tournament. They won that out there.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of that team. I mean, I like a lot of these players. I mean, I've been following Sandman since practically the beginning of my Counter-Strike casting career, and he was somebody who was fighting through advanced with some serious stats on teams that weren't even making it deep in playoff runs. So looking now that he's got players that surround him that are at a similar level, at a similar point in their career, and also bolstering their firepower with Wolf, I mean, it's really hard to combat when they're on their peak form. But you talked about the brain power on PA. I mean, yeah, effectively it's like 2 IGLs versus 1 is Ret. We'll see who can topple, because right now, at least in firepower, they're relatively even with this force buy from Party Astronauts, but they've not found the opening. Instead, they've only gone 1 for 1.
Way to try and set this tone in Banana. Any man that's familiar to LAG in the server, it's OG Wizard right here. He's gotten 3rd and 4th that'll land for him, won another land for him. He'll be excited to be back with some new energy in the server today. He's the one that's taking point right here at the tip of Banana. I think Mason just getting prompted to send a little bit of something back, but now he's going off the flash, and on his investigation finds nothing, reinforcing the A site with the little utility they have left. But that's not going to hold back Cameron, not today.
Bit of a crossfire set, and again, Wolf playing around these smokes. Been a little bit of a menace in these last 2 rounds as far as that is concerned. Another multi, not quite, but all good. Should still be an easy enough round for them, unless Austin pulls out the AK-47 headshots. Mason, crosshair displacement, and in the air, he will use his SMG as intended. Lag find 2, we get a little bit of sweat on our brows wiped off, but even so, there is no buy here for PA, given there was no plan.
And that's a 1v1 that's personal. If on this eco round, we'll see how deep it does go. There's some money here for PA. If I may tell the story of Mason. Back at the
sure, dude.
BTL Art Series land 3 years ago, I just started being a caster, Tony. I was there to have fun, I saw Austin there. He was there with Davenport University, players like Pug, right? And, I mean, that Davenport project was coming to an end. It was Mason that arrived there, had a good performance. We'll put a pause on that. You can kind of see where that's headed. You get a good connection, get a good notice, may get picked up, because this round kind of in an interesting stance. There's some Kevlar there, there's some Deagles. It's not nothing for PA right here.
Trying to hold them back with what utility they've got. I mean, not a hard task. Playing the distance, though, with an SMG is wiser than... Or excuse me, rather, closing the distance is what I meant, is wiser than trying to play a long-range game, especially against Deagles, and Consti was in a little bit of the awkward middle ground between that. Gets put down. Now requires Mason to use whatever's left to just stall them even further beyond that, because there will be little to no retake potential if Lag can't find a majority of kills before they enter a site. So a 2-2 split, they have info in holes. This is good so long as Sandman can be a bolstering to Mason's anchorage. Good onto the first. Headshots there. Mason will activate, and they won't even lose 1 man. That's absolutely perfectly held, both players combined for the full house.
Showing some pretty good strength early on. I know that Sandman and Mason have been working up quite a good path on the rifles here, this LAG squad, quite a foundation. But yeah, I mean, it was Mason after that who was there on a Cyberstorm team with you know, kind of a puggy mix that, I mean, played really well. In fact, I lost to him at that tournament, Tony, so I can vouch for you. But it was after that the Davenport project kind of dispersed, and Pug and Austin put together the classless core that also picked up Mason. I mean, straight from that land.
Usually how it goes in modern-day Counter-Strike, honestly, truthfully. Very aggressively down through mid. Mason wants to make his name known. Is obviously a lesser weapon with not a whole lot of opportunity against the high firepower of the AK-47s. He's going to be put down, but he'll still go 1-for-1. Damage into Austin just the same. And Wolf, he's got a power play, but he needs Sandman to stay alive. Or maybe he could do a little bit better than even that. Drops Austin, drops Ben Leet down low. Can't escape his grasp, however, and the damage goes unconverted. A Ben Leet double up, but still an even man. And Brett, will they know that a third will have been here tucked?
Brett with no utility, no way to actually show his hand before it is too far gone. But nothing to stop them, nothing to give that inclination. Spacing out, he may get the shoulder onto Ben Leaf. They're avoiding him. Now head turn, free execution on to the IGL. Can the new pickup make this thing happen? Cameron aggressive in the site, but drop down to 19. Considering the rotation to A, gets a glimpse of Wolf, and now is just gonna try and make a big play about it. Not taking the bait immediately off the hook. Wolf will wait this one out, Tony.
Cameron eventually turns on the Jets, 19 HP. I definitely values that bomb plant above much else, given that this round is still not really easy for him in any sense. 2 flashbangs if he wants to set himself up, but from where? He's not planted for halls, he's not planted for lane. Instead, exposition over from archway. We'll have to see where he looks to actually do his damage, though. Posts up, ready for him to wrap from lane. This is actually kind of problematic for Cameron. It's going to have to be an instant headshot for my money, and as Wolf rounds the bend, he enters the airspace, and a little too soon, because Cameron can put together the shots, and that 1 HP RNG, the CS gods have blessed Cameron and blessed Party Astronauts with a first.
Yes, they have. A 1vx situation goes the way of PA to kind of get some adrenaline in the system. And, you know, when we were talking about new energy between him and Austin the brain, I mean, Cameron the energy. Austin and Cameron were, you know, playing at a couple of those Fragadelphias under, like, a Kimbo Light, Bibian, and a mix like that. And if you've ever seen Cameron play on LAN, hell, I know you coached in a grand final against him at one point in your career, Tony. He's loud and distracting, right?
I love him.
A great teammate for that. I mean, a clutch like that, that's going to bring the energy back into the VC. Not that it ever left. We're 4 rounds in. Getting it started.
It's only just getting started. That much you have correct. Off the wall. Decent amount of utility to try and stall. They've got that up on Consti. That's going to be stationed over towards the A site. A hard crossfire set between him and Wolf, but only Cameron on that lurk. He's going to be the one that you're going to watch bar about the 30-second line. He's pulled them back to A, as a matter of fact, with the bomb being the first to make the move, and obviously on the back of none other than the in-game leader. That's indicative of what may be on its way. This is where Consti's op has to be absolutely on point. Doesn't have an HE to blow a smoke if one's to make its way over, so that's key point number 1.
In for the very first time and avoiding just barely. Wolf up top. He's flashing. He's gone for 1. Brett standing aggressively within this is going to try and just rake them up. Has 2 on that FAMAS. It works out. Getting dirty for LAG and make it work. How? And in a Bloodsport effort, Austin and Cameron get onto the bomb site and give themselves a chance.
They need to remember to communicate right now. They've got a smoke, they've got a flash. There's one up in their face, but there's a gap on the right. So long as everybody's in tone with what's about to happen, they should be fine. All 3 spread, but eventually Consti realizes the error of his ways. It's Austin and Cameron who have set themselves up pretty nicely to play off of one another. Back, already being put against this site, and Austin, he'll go down, leaving it all to Cameron. He's clutched it before, a decent 1 versus 1, and when given the chance, on a swivel, any degree angle, high, low, or indifferent, he sends him to space, and Party Astronauts collect the second.
It is a beautiful clutch across the canvas for Cameron. You have just let the beast out. You have Austin and Cameron playing like this right off the bat. PA are vicious on this Inferno, but it takes 2 clutches. It takes getting their hands dirty, but finally breaking the glass. And LAG, they're going to be working with some pistols.
Running it back. How do you calm down after that if you're Cameron? I mean, you saw him shaking, but controlled. And in controlling the entirety of this map right now with that flash, clearing out halls, sacrifice, not needing to lose much of anything other than a piece of utility in order to gain it.
And Sacrifice, a player I'm really excited to see. I last saw him on the Ja V2 team last summer in CCT, Tony, and he actually played pretty well in a couple of those tournaments, notably a part of that, Fluffy Aimers core mix of players throughout, time on different mixes, is a do-it-all guy for PA, and was one of their first additions after the whole Fang shebang that happened earlier. Didn't mean for that to rhyme, but maybe Wolf around this corner can, try and get one. Ben just beams, and that's going to be good for him. I mean, Sacrifice, a guy that I think on other teams was really really letting it loose within those ratings. So see some of that fire get back. It could be pretty exciting.
And now we're back with the heat of the action as everybody gets what they need, really. Sit back, relax. For only one singular round if you're lag, trying to discuss how to recover. 3-0 though, not really that, or excuse me, 3-3, not really that much of a recovery point needed, but I mean, you don't have your op onto Consti. Two players, once again, relegated to less than ideal weapons as far as a full buy is concerned. And Sacrifice playing out what's effectively a bonus round for him. I mean, he's on the MAC 10. He's going to be a point of contact in their entry, so see what he looks to spice up life with in halls. This is a primed and ready halls split actually set up. You'll see this on pistol rounds many a time too. It's going to be, I believe, a flashbang from bottom mid for for OG Wizard to entry after the smokes have been thrown. And OG Wizard is going to flash over halls. Here they come. Wolfie's in the pit and Consti's on his cross. They're going to do their damage already, initially receiving very little. And I think they may have just shut this one out entirely. One flash may have missed the mark, or perhaps they've read it just so very well that there was never a world it was coming through. It's a triple from Wolf in the pit.
Change some of the protocols on A, shine up the ones that were just not quite pushing it to that final line, but all the way passive as they come. Perfect play to defend against the Halls pop, and Wolf is just getting warmed up right now. And to be honest with you, it's really good to see Wolf back within really good stance. I mean, Consti is a pretty experienced op route here, next to the experience Brett has, obviously with probably the most controversial roster move out of North America when we were, still mid-season to get some role clarity. Blue Jays did remove the player, and, I mean, was one of their highest rated, so happy to see him in a jersey that's really swinging for it. Just got that support, as we mentioned. Sandman getting a great spam and clearing out the beginning of Banana. PA got to act fast.
Minute and a half. They do have to act fast, but they can do it slowly. You know what I mean? They can pump the brakes for at least a split second, but once they hit that gas one more time, it will have to be full throttle. Smoke's out, and now the jig is up. Wolf is just barely keeping himself unexposed from the players at lane, and as soon as he peeks his head up, he'll spot a couple of his own. Another multi shut down, but Brett, he's been pretty solid on these rotations all the way around the A site, but okay, Ben lead, what was that?
But IGL and IGL violence, straight up, smacking him down. One shot comes off of the double by the Opper, leaves Ben Leet with it all to do, and Sandman, he takes his time, Tony. Lets this one just fall through the hourglass as, honestly, Ben Leet playing this one perfectly. It's all going to come down to the timing of his sway back here to make it happen. It's now the back shown from Sandman, but this is going to be such a hard stance with a Molotov here, and it's Ben Leet's clutch to lose, but onto the bomb in time. Is there enough for the full 10 seconds? Sandman going to take it close, Tony. Do LAG have a fifth?
Got it. Oh my lord, by the skin of their teeth. How could you ever have imagined that the split second that it may take for him to get atop the box and down could have been the difference between that defusal? So, big on him. Clearly the right call. Sees a bird's eye view over that site. And Ben had no way out. Lead by 2. And, this map in Inferno, I would say, more often than not, probably CT-sided when the two teams know how they're playing it out, right? And it's not just some throwaway kind of game. And the only thing that really worries me is the fact that it's the pick Party Astronauts. So we'll see just how much they're able to accumulate as that second half converges, because this one should be a wash. This AK-47 of Ben, it's going to have to do God's work.
Already been teased for it on Banana. A whole lot of bodies here to throw at the problem if they do want to aggressively send it in. Ben gonna go for it. It's gonna catch something up top, and Mason, he's just gonna deck the entire pillar there. Ben leading Austin, Gun and Wolf, one foul swoop. These AKs are gonna have to just adjust, rather, the singular rifle and the batch of pistols. The funky bunch.
La pistolas. AK-47 in the hands of Sandman as a reward for his clutch in that last round. So he's going to be a threat. Not necessarily the most lethal, considering, though, everyone has no head armor on PA who still stands. So any of these weapons can tear them down. And given that there's 2 SMGs even still, that's pretty dangerous as a prospect. Brett, he's been pretty hit as far as his kills are, though. Usually traded, but, you know, so is the life of the caller in many of the roles and positions that he's played. But this time untraded before he gets his double, and now he can kind of just call over for the help. He doesn't want to needlessly die, and that's a really, really important part of this game, is not throwing away money that you desperately need as a CT side. Flawless win, and you can see what it'll do to them, because now they don't have to reinvest, Mark. Now they've got thousands of dollars on every member, so for the rest of this half, they are going to be feeling pretty comfortable as far as that's concerned.
Really looking, I mean, pretty great when the adjustments have came in on this A site now. I mean, Brett now gets to have a little bit of the limelight. A nice triple he gets in there. It's all against the ecos, but I think they're kind of understanding how, you know, PA are to approach this. They take 30 seconds to kind of, you know, get this thing into a point at which, I mean, the Galils are going to be able to comfortably kind of rope this along, Tony. I mean, sort of Banana is the only point they've had success on if it hasn't come down to the very late round 1vx clutches on that A site. Which is a problem, right?
Yeah, I was going to say, to flashback to so many moments in this game so far going down on that A-bomb site. Actually, pretty much every round there's been something that's gone down at some stage in it, whether it be the heroics of the CTs trying to pull off, like, Wolfie around smokes, 3 rounds, you know, Cameron's clutch, Sandman retake, and, I mean, you can't really bank on Cameron's clutch being something that'll regularly and consistently not only happen, but bring you wealth to be able to string together rounds further beyond that, so... You know, great on him. Not going to take anything away from that, but what I can take away from is that with that being the way that they get such a monumental round, everything else starts to look a little bit less shiny. But a 4-on-4 now is a pretty big one from Sacrifice. Gives them an alleyway into knowledge that there's one more over at A, as well as now Banana control with smokes will soon fade.
Mason going to give it the respect all the way over to the A site in pretty bold fashion. It's vision that is now going to be had on brackets, though. They do want to give it all of the gall. It's just Sandman back, and now collects his refreshments all the way gone. It's another set of utility. At this point, he's going to have to let it go. Pathing into the site now. Let's see if Sandman can pluck one out. The smoke is going to be down. No easy spam going to be allotted, but we see so much on the X-ray. It's going to be a proper retake if they decide to go for it, but there's so many members of LAG that are almost on target.
Or it's a Molotov that can be sent somewhere, and that would obviously likely be back of the site to Nubox X position. Good shots in from the distance. The rifle still set. A Galil on 2 of them. The AK dropped. Now scattered and spread. They need to get in soon, and they're not really worried about Banana, but even still Brett turns. I can't believe that. He stays alive, finds the frag, and everyone in that moment, except for a singular, remains up with their guns. And another instance where Party Astronauts should have done more. Whether it been another kill, whether it would have been 2 more kills, or the round win outright. It actually kind of reminds me of the Falcons setup.
Dude, all right. Who picked Banana?
One player in pit, double back sight. One Nubox gets mollied out and has to swing. There's one Banana isolated. No. It's not 2 Banana, but even still, it's pretty damn close to the exact same pull apart.
When I went to HLTV Confirmed, that's what we, in live in Austin, that was the first 25-minute segment, talking about that exact round.
We're not going to hark on it like it lost them the game or anything. That last round, I mean, but nice nades. Good gun now to grab.
Beautiful. Yeah, they are just going to be galloping along with this, trying to just barter on the rhythm, and Brett, he's going to let Austin go across his screen, not letting them pour now. Sandman, he luckily connects on the flame, and it's all cleared out of this B side now. It'll be an easy 8th for LAG.
They were not expecting there to be 3 players in that site, given one had fallen back into CT spawn that they had seen. They had killed the player close, but not ready for Brett to jump into action. Cameron, I've seen you do some disgusting little things, and the crosshair does adjust to the near head level, but again, wishful thinking. 8-3, what a half from lag. It's not really a whole hell of a lot that you can do right now if you're PA when these rounds get a little hairy every now and then. You convert the biggest of them, sure, but sprinkled throughout this half have been moments of minuscule heartbreak that kind of compound. OG Wizard not having the greatest of goes, and he really hasn't even been contested by Consti as the defensive sniper, so that's a little worrying. And frankly, I don't even think he's really had the gun in his hands all that much, OG Wizard.
No, and in fact, I mean, working as that pack rifler, I mean, obviously at 3 and 10 is not as effective as, clearly we would like, but, I mean, had a nice double there coming up short. It's just, obviously, a player like OG Wizard is absolutely going to do some of his best stuff with the scope in his hands, and, where we were cheering along for those clutches, it was great, but the praise comes along to LAG just spoiling the party right away for the astronauts, right? Ready to start getting into the motions, sort of, what they have had planned for this Inferno. It just never even got to get started on this
never
offense
materialized.
Here. Yeah. As you mentioned, it's a sinking feeling due to exactly how this format is. You lose, you're out, pal.
Yeah. Although, at least another map to look forward to.
No, absolutely. I believe Austin's old squad, Mythic, is unfortunately out already. TSG and Soul have also been eliminated, as well as Might Grip Gel, which we're going to be talking about them.
I've heard about them
later, because we're welcoming Stamina back, and he leaves his stamp back in NA.
You mean Tsunami? That's Tsunami.
Correct, Stamina on Tsunami. He's back.
Oh, you said Might, sorry.
Did I? Excuse me. Yeah, because, well, I mean, that was his project with DJ. I mean, opening it up, coming to Philadelphia, he had Dan's. It was a big ordeal for them. Then, obviously, left that project. Didn't really have a team for a while, and then created the undefined roster with Classia, Sixy. Obviously, that then turned into, Chop and Matum taking that.
I'm usually doing the NACS history class. I'm just sitting back right now with my notebook. This is good. Good stuff. Og for Brett. Smoke to the Molotov that would otherwise have hit the opposite ends of the car, but still given vision over to Mason, but he wants to go again. Given the flashbang in support, given a second player as well, they absolutely cream whatever was to come, but maybe, just maybe, in an attempt to try and leave Hall, it's too little too late. He's already been cut down to size. OG Wizard needs to take a different path, and he will. He's not going to be exposed to constant. There's still one more target to worry about, and it's Brett.
Yeah, there's 2 scopes on the other side, but which one do you got to be worried about? We can finally get this meeting that we have been begging for. Consti and OG Wizard within the same area code. These 2 AWPs. The bomb's got to go down. And right now, Sacrifice, he's perched up top like a turret, going for the Flying Clay Pigeon first, trying to take the attention. Sandman does that well. And the nade, it doesn't hit home, Tony. But now they're boxed in the site. Got to get past this line.
OG Wizard's waiting for them to cross it, but not an easy flick. He'll miss. It's Sacrifice softened, and Sandman, who's bound to, needs to be the hat trick, or Sacrifice can claim his instead. A nice 3-piece for him as we go into the next half of Inferno, and it's Party Astronauts who have to recover. A highlight clip in what has effectively been a little bit of a low light of a game for the Party Astronauts from Cameron as we look to enter the second half, which should be at least a smidgen more comfortable, and it's 4 rounds to gap. It's Sacrifice who's given it its all, and it's Lag who have done just that little bit more.
Looking clean, looking pretty sharp, and now we got to see if they can tote this under center. Brett ready to start calling this T-side, and Sacrifice may have seen his forehead sticking up. Not sure if he saw the bomb on his back. Could have on the mini-map if he did actually get that. It's not clear to me where you're about to see this contact up top anyhow. Austin on a very strenuous angle where you may be waiting for a bit of contact up by Wolf. Plenty of coins to actually be flipped here on that LAG side. And Party Astronauts adjust further into the bomb site. This is going to be hard for LAG to actually get past this before they're fully committed, but with the hint of the smoke, they have an option to actually see whether or not they're committed to this. Now rethinking this, I think they're going to go rejoin Wolf.
So very slowed down, but somewhat choreographed as well. I mean, they've got 2 decoys left to use. That's so weird. Trying to get back up towards a very loud Brett is going to be leading that charge. No smoke for any crosses, and Cameron is lights out. Nice shot to clothesline. The one man trying to sell something, and this is where I think actually, frankly, Lag look a little lost. I don't really know what to think about this round as they've just been so very indecisive, and only now at the 30-second mark have they decided to head fully into that site and commit to it. Sacrifice, he's kind of stuck. Wait, he's got no one here.
Gonna need another highlight from the pit, that is for sure. Bentley gonna go ahead and try and grab his bag, but after it's already been dropped, gonna get that bomb down in a secure spot and having to shimmy in between that big box. It's Sandman not going to go down easily. They're about to pincer right here onto the lane rotation. Let's see if Austin is expecting it. Fully trying to clear for Wolf. He is decked off of his platform. And now Consti back at the bomb site. And he is the secret weapon right now. LAG are surfing silver. It is beautiful, Tony. They have a second pistol in this game.
Gotta be feeling it. That momentum goes all the way through, and it cuts PA deep. I mean, they could force here, they could save, both viable. I don't think this game is nearly drowned out far enough to where they should be worrying about making deep and dangerous investments. Seeing 1, 2 flashbangs held by Ben Leap to try and send the troops on to what could very well be a free little pick or two, but they've waited a little too long and they've been hit with a flash of their own. They'll deal with Sandman, though, and Mason's got to be calling there's an army on rush.
Throw some coal into the fire of Consti, man. I know that literal fire is keeping those ecos away, but would love to see him get his hands warm, though. It's pretty hot to be a part of this LAG squad right now, walking in like this. But it's Sunny Inferno, it's already been for them. Shooting gallery opening up, particularly for the IGL. He gets 2 off the tree. And now even sensing exactly where the nade guy is, you're not coming through today.
The nade guy. Is that all he is to you? Is that a yes? Oh. Oh, I just crashed in Discord. That's why you didn't hear me. I said, is that all he is to you, is the nade guy?
Well, yes, I believe we're actually all good and reconnected, but no, he's a lot more than that. Austin CS, great guy, you should get to know him.
For sure. Trying once more to take a pacey top banana control. I mean, they might be smoked, but they're still sending nades deeper and deeper. Try and ward off anybody who may be playing behind them. A molly to the corner and a nade to the car. There would have been a player who would have been hurt. Not quite. And with that, they've got a new objective, get brackets control, and then they can go for their full execution. However, they only have 2 flashes and 2 smokes, so wherever they choose to go now will be where they have to forever hold their peace, and it looks like A is the final destination. Good by Cameron. SMGs on either side, eventually one, more successful than the other. Cross, careful, but still a man up. This should be a pretty easy one for Lag to convert, and will they just go for that save? Yes, they will. Wow.
Yeah, pretty easy save call to go alongside an easy A take. Boy, I mean, Wolf sees that, immediately knows how those double sight setups are supposed to go. He's literally, I mean, a beautiful anchor in this game. Was literally unbeatable there
Very
on the latter end
handsome
of the
anchor.
first half. A very handsome anchor. You can get that down. Actually, he was pretty recent. He was 1v1ing the other Wolfie. Also happens to be handsome. You'll also happen to see him on the B stream today. They 1v1 for the name, but it's actually not factual, being that his name is actually Wolf, our gentleman in the server today. Uh-huh.
He says he doesn't care, though. He says it's either one.
Yeah, well, Stanislaw didn't care either, and then we said his name wrong for 10 years, so.
Who? And what?
Watch the Stanislaw Reflections with Thorin. He explained that because his last name, is like a Polish last name, it was meant to sort of be one sort of name.
Stanislav?
Like, yeah, exactly right.
Stanislav.
Yeah. And he just said that this is what the casters called me, and yeah. That's why we always ask. That's why we make sure it's Classia. That's why we make sure it's JBA. We gotta keep them right.
Yeah, that's why we make sure it's Austin.
Bruh.
Smoke to the top side of lane. Spreads and leaves just a little bit on the left side, but that's expected for the T's because they want them to peek into that if they were to be heading up lane. But they're not going that way anyway. Sacrifice is just sending a wild and crazy spam and spray through. Easy one and confirms that there's more on the other end. Good flash up high, but Cameron tuck, and they've got really hard times clearing this, I feel, and OG Wizard remains undetected.
What's he gonna be able to do right now? Get away with his life. It's, I think, so much now, kind of the hand shown here by PA. With these numbers, this amount sort of right here on the docket, you've got to dive in and really see into this retake confidently. Get on the back of Ben Leet right now, who's a part of the larger pack. And this is going to be the entire squad right here. So putting their dice right back to back in the pit. Consti wants to go for an aggressive swing. Sandman gonna have to hit his shots. Not enough to go. Now the AK equipped for the upper. And Mason, the anchor in the sight, has got that down. 12 up for LAG. And they are ruining Party Astronauts' time on their map pick.
Yeah, they have just not had fun, Mark. And a party that's been shut down in the later hours of the night. Now, map point, not series point again. There is another map on the next. It's Lags, though. It's their choice. It's gonna be Anubis, so stick around for that. And try and cross your fingers if you are a PA fan that they may be able to walk away with something, but in desperation, a wide swing in mid, supported by nobody effectively from the side of PA. And then a late boost in which has also been just crushed. Cameron, lucky to get away with his life following his teammate being sprayed down, but yeah, straight bullet effectively just catches Wolf, and he'll be okay with that.
Sandman gonna go for another magnetic peak and was just so clean with it. 23 and 8. This is a beautiful Sandman performance right here on a blowout that is gonna basically match the previous output on it. Party Astronauts thought they could bounce back from a 13-3. They got one more round, Tony. It's a 13-4 that they have the next time they play LAG on one of their best maps.
Yeah, we'll see whether it'll be as big as a banger as that needs to be for PA, or if we're going to go to that third map in just a little bit. Stick.
There's nothing I can do.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. PA, they aren't going anywhere yet. They got one more map to go. Tony, the last time we saw this series was LAG down a map. Now the Astronauts having to attempt a reverse sweep, but probably not a better place to be on the field than here, T-side Anubis.
Well, yeah, last time Lag won on Inferno as well. So, looking down into a map we've not yet seen between these two teams, maybe there's more to be studied. Molotov. Flash for Ben Leet, standing just behind the troops. As Wolf, actually a pretty exposed player on that jiggle towards A main and cut down to size by Cameron.
Exterminated. Now they're really running for this. The P2K gonna net one on the run, but Cameron letting that Glock go. Sandman, he's gonna try and come in from game ender, but PA are fierce running into this A site. Ben Lee calls up a simple one, but a great one, and sends in his soldier Cameron to do the dirty work. 3 frags he comes out with.
MP9 for Mason, the only thing that isn't an upgraded pistol right now. Everybody else rocking the 5.7s. 2 numbers in the name, but needs 5 kills if they want to make this full force actually pan out. As quickly up through mid, Sacrifice is looking to pincer this A site with a player just behind, but he's taking that space. He's the one at the charge, and Cameron once more at A main, looking to get a couple more frags along with this AK-47. He's been gifted for his heroism in the last. The 5.7s are potent, already having found 2. Sandman in the smoke, and Sacrifice has been dealt with, and now Ben Lead and OG Wizard, both with rifles, have second guessing they need to do. Bomb on their backs, but also their backs against that same wall.
Having to avoid disaster already. Trying to take this itinerary step by step on this Anubis. Slipping up on the second is not what you want. And a 4v2 that's pretty manageable. They just got to be able to get this gauge at a friendly setting. Clear out Brett with no real problem. You know, Sandman's the next closest target. He's 10 health. But not what we serve up. Not the simple sway towards B. Want to catch them right where they're going to be off guard. The 10 HP is going to come down. Sandman has been caught, but smoking off this A site now. They're headed in the best possible place. We can see everything in the minimap right now, and Brett's going to be outside of the B site.
He'll be the first one to hear much of anything. They could smoke him off if they'd like. Alternatively, take a flash to duel, but time not really making for that. OG Wizard will lob out a smoke, but not towards the deep sides of B main. A flashbang also not to B main. So Brett, I mean, there's only one other place they can really anticipate him to be once he's made himself known, though, that HE will land right onto the feet of Ben Leet. And here comes the rotate. Fast and furious, the 2 SMGs will try and conglomerate quickly to E-Box. They're a bit scattered, actually, right now. So Wolf, he's going to have to wait.
Just find that smoke. It fades right on time, but planted for them here in Temple, and it's going to be OG Wizard that's going to be set up for it all. Close range, has that down, point blank with the Galil. It's sprayed successfully. Consti taps on the bomb once, but knows he has got to fool. Benleet was played this a time or two, but yet just phasing away at that 18th health. Party Astronauts recover and will be counting their lucky stars for this. That was a 4v2 disaster that is avoided.
Nice. Party Astronauts on their road. No blocks in the way, obviously half that would fuel a good come up. 5.7s once more, though, giving them a run for their money. And, you know, this Lil here from Consti also giving them an advantage to where OG Wizard can solve it. He's being shot through the smoke from bottom side bridge.
What?
I don't know, maybe he was shot by a teammate? How is this all unfolded? Consti, a madman in mid.
I mean, just when they thought they were going to get a clean slate, maybe USPs, a couple upgrades at best, that's what they got. And, I mean, you know, phasing through any smoke, trying to walk through buttoned up like that, you're going to get punished by the $500 pistol, let alone the one rifle they have. Right place, right time, cutting them down in middle. Separated now, Consti and Sandman are, but now fully equipped, has found his hands on a rifle. Cameron is going to have to pull up, doesn't have a second member around him, right? Just had that 4v2 with OG and Ben Leet. Cameron had 2 1BX clutches at the beginning of Inferno, and now at the beginning of Anubis, it's going to have to be the same thing. Plan to keep away.
Thank you, 47 for Sandman, snagged up. Holding for if he wants to double back. Smoke to A main, maybe go through it. Maybe there's a world. Yeah. No, actually, no. He's not going to be able to go for this round any longer, unfortunately. If he wants to drop the E-Box, he's got to knife out. Yeah, it literally had to be now. And yeah, shot in the back. Not the way you want to lose out. I mean, it came down to the wire on the last round. It got converted this round. Consti having to get a 4K in order for it to happen, but you'll take what you can get in any capacity.
Yeah, there's no sugarcoating that. A really ugly round there by Party Astronauts. Very adamant about investigating onto that smoke after, depleting that next eco. We're just very adamant about moving into that third round with, I mean, probably a little bit too overzealous of a vibe. And, I mean, you see how some of those being taken slow. There's really no reason to go ahead and gallop that fast against those USPs. Even the 5-7 laid him out before you were into the Galil. Brett going on that investigation further into E-Box. He's getting dusted back to 41. And it seems like this B site may be a final place to rest, but not for Ben Lead and Cameron. Back-to-back, bodies will lay inside of the canals.
Backing it up. Roll it back, boys. Mid hasn't really been the greatest place for PA so far, but now that it's pretty clean and clear, thanks to the rotation that's been pulled by what was obviously a very scary B pressure, they can turn their sights back onto it and hope to be just a little bit better. Mason at a distance, tapping away on a jiggle. A peek with a teammate by his side to where even if he were to go down, you'd have to assume that they'd find some success. A good and high flash that will stop him for the time being, and a second that follows up. They've got room to close the distance, and they do so well. And ammo now left for Mason, actually, to stop him from the plant at the very least. Wizard Eagle 1v4, not feeling it.
This is the 23-8 confidence showing out here for Sandman. That was his total out of the first map here. The rest of LAG are recovering that very bold vibe that they had out of that entire Inferno. A 13-4 for those of you that didn't check off that first map with us. It was Party Astronauts pick that got punished, and now LAG get to sit comfortable working off of their previous map pick. In the last time these two opponents met, they get as Party Astronauts first, and then this is where we switch up the veto. It's actually PA right after this that even, allow this to happen, right? They don't want to, really let up that Ancient to be that third either. It goes to a Dust 2 again, and they would probably need as hectic of an affair when it does get there, but now these pistols will be showing out through middle again, and Nade just absolutely dunks Ben Lee. Another one.
Another one, yeah. All of them hopping across the PA main door. And all of them being met by a spray down from one member or another.
That's more like it from Consti.
Dude,
he's getting a lot of attention so far.
And this game is just right back in lag camp.
Highlighted the best point to work this, in any sort of energy back, right? I feel like still some of where we've gone back. It's not quite as sided as it used to be, but I think everybody knows that it's a golden ticket that you have to really try and run this back. And, it was a very questionable T side that, we didn't even get to see them really rev up into a defense. They're faced with calling up another set of an entire first half of offense that's staring down PA right now. So they have got to execute, and they've got to do it fast. It looks like you're about to get this fight back from LAG here into the canal. It's got to get ready to fight likely.
Dropping a singular through smoke, captain v captain. One will sink, the other will maintain hold of the wheel as Brett is in the E-Box. Genius sometimes. Right now, being able to find an opening in the first 30 or so will feel pretty nice, but Mason not allowed to jump backwards. Instead, he chooses an ops to head closer and towards the doors, hoping that someone will support him, but how could they justify it? They too were a little bit blind themselves, and they could have been swinging into their doom.
Austin here working on an island and maintains a whole lot of space. Cutting off some of these rotations. It's going to have to be a longer rotation for Consti and Wolf where, now it's going to be necessary. Molotov is going to buy them a whole lot of time right now with nothing coming through majorly in canals. It's an Austin 1v1 that's finally met. What a swing from his sacrifice. Had a big play to close out the first half of Anubis. Now turning it on as Party Astronauts are trying to win a regular gun round. That's something you couldn't say until the very end of that half when this man stepped up, sacrifice, putting them on a line. But now their Opera's got to finish it. But the Opera on the other side has got a golden AK and he's letting it go. Double digits for Consti, and he's just getting the scope right now.
Yeah, Consti's killing it right now. Definitely having a series to remember as far as EPL qualification is concerned. Stage 2 on the line.
Nice legacy spray.
Yeah, very
we
cool.
Love them
and
over at ESL, the ECL team representing North America, right?
Thanks, guys.
Yeah,
I love Legacy, so 10-1 is absurd.
This is not a forum you want to be seeing Consti into. And I mean, a guy that has been around for a very, very long time, right? I mean, you and I were obviously talking the other day, a lot of the big news, you know. Thankfully, NRG is already qualified for Pro League, guys. They won ECL, so you're not going to have to see some of their, you know, new changes come in. Consti's a guy that's been playing from 2019. Tony, you may know some of that, you know, beginning of the history a little bit better than I do, but, you know, similar to Sacrifice and, you know, a couple of players that we're going to be seeing right after this, you know, part of that fluffy aimers, you know, better or worse. They were on a couple of different names, I think, throughout the history, but that group of players, I think, played for that longest time. The Vendetta, you know, team played under that organization for a while, where it's an interesting feat. Seems like we're dealing with some lag issues, but I didn't have the second part of that. No, don't say that. Don't say that. There's no lag issues. The only I don't know where we're actually getting the issues from, but nobody's DC'd yet. I have a wooden desk, everybody. Don't you worry. We're hearing some clicks. Could only mean good things. I heard one. Maybe it's an R question mark in the chat, Tony.
Maybe. Looks like everybody's bought but Austin, so.
There you go.
And Sacrifice, actually. So it's got to be one of those two. We've narrowed it down. Nope, Sacrifice got a flash, or smoke, so it's Austin. Austin's the troll.
Wow. Come to expect less shenanigans from Austin, but we digress.
He's supposed
Obviously,
to set the example, dude.
I mean, honestly, this is a guy that's coming in with a lot of new energy. I think earlier, you know, we were, you know, kidding around when I called him the nade guy, and you said, like, is that all you know him as, the nade guy? And obviously that's quite funny because, you know, doing pretty well in the content game, you know, but like as a guy that we've known for a long time in the North America scene, Tony, is like, I mean, there's a reason why he's showing up to every Fragadelphia on like a mixed team when, you know, he was on Mythic, and they didn't want to 10 land simply because that really wasn't a part of their repertoire. And
went as far as to fly out our boy Tommy Korn.
Exactly.
Our GOAT. Mentioned on the ESL broadcast. Earned.
Unreal.
Retired.
For now.
We're going to bring him back.
Had some time teaming with Austin over on Davenport University, the very tail end of that, as I've already mentioned. Austin wasn't even enrolled in the school. He was just playing some Counter-Strike with the boys.
Is that true?
It's true. Yeah, I unfortunately saw them out of the BTL Art Series LAN after they were eliminated by, I think the organization that they were playing under was called Rain, and it was Kojo Mo that eliminated them from that tournament. Yep. NA legend. But as I was kind of yapping about before, I think Austin is a guy that, like, he's always told me, I mean, even with doing so good in content, he's always wanted to continue to compete, you know, put together Wicked, and, you know, Wicked was a part of, you know, people that he had connected with on other teams, people that he was more familiar with, even if they were kind of focusing in slightly more on content. This is him fully leaning back into competition, and I think the pressure comes on these T-sides where Ben Lee's going to need some help.
Hang the flash off the wall just a little bit too deep. Brett on the angle, knowing that would be where it was likely to expose, but Sandman still sticks around, gets off the scope, and gets off the site as he's been relieved of his duties by virtue of no longer being with us. Nate attempted to blow the smoke just over to the top left, though. It's a little awkward. Maybe a boost to come over at some point in this to try and activate them, because they don't even really know where to go right now, PA.
It's all good. PA is fully equipped. They've got 2 scopes. They pick up the Augs dropped on the site by Sandman and Brett. And with this bomb halfway ticked, LAG, they know what their next step is. They're just waiting to do it confidently. Stepping forward, the flashes. It's an awkward exchange. Still gonna find 2 more bodies. With 4 left on this timer. Now it's really gonna tick. Consti can't quite find the elbow. It's OG Wizard that finds revenge from E-Box all the way back. It's poetic, and that's how the party astronauts need it. That's a proper gun round victory, and one that now they have to continue to roll with.
PA get more AUG kills.
Yeah, get more.
Can Lag do that round? Okay.
Yes.
It's not something
City.
you'll see every day.
You can use that AUG at maybe like T-steps. Opt for OG Wizard 2. Just throw both of them up there. Why not? OG Wizard actually opting to go
like
over
the third
towards
time
main.
we've had an op on him in this series.
Oh!
Get some quick scopes. It does. That's what we're here for. It's the fireworks show, but you're only getting one. 4th of July was last week, baby. We're running out, but Consti, he's got his 11th in that set. Cameron's still fighting for it because, I mean, the Golden Goose is down. Got to recover this bomb, but are they going to be expecting Austin? He did swing on that timing, but wasn't quite ready for it. Austin spotting onto the shoulder of Sandman, who even gives him the business back. This is all on Austin right now. Sacrifice just staring down that smoke. Austin going to have to get this trade, and does. Hard on this line now is Sandman. Already been tapped up, Tony. Continues to walk on this line, and Austin's so hidden. We'll see into Cameron first, right down on this stage. He's going to have to be the headshot instantly, and Austin finishes. A great little round between Cameron, who actually pulls in that final kill, and Austin on that bomb site. This is where you finally get a reset, and to be honest with you, this is the very first time we've seen this playbook open up on the T side, and this is the second map.
Yeah, that looked pretty nice from that last 2 versus 1 to ensure that both players are covering one another. There was no room for error as far as contact was concerned. As soon as a shot was fired, they were ready to swing. And all Cameron had to do if he was heaven would be to step back. And speaking of a step back, I mean, a step back into the money pit, where they sink in with a couple of pistols, their loss bonus swelling little by little. The inflammation beginning to grow, but already a round count on CT side Anubis. That's respectable. And that's putting it nicely, lightly even, I would say. Anything more, PA are probably going to be slightly disappointed.
And you're absolutely right. Need to get this pulled back with, I mean, the ridiculous start that they have had. I don't think that this is just going to suddenly disappear. Just for this one. Bentley playing some games right here.
Double phase.
Brett running through. Doesn't want to wait that out. But it could just be a quick cleanup. Bentley.
No way! Okay.
Thought he'd make it tested here. Don't go ahead and use that AK to perfection. LAG, they've already had a rifle ruin. Exactly the pushback on the eco that, I mean, even struck this match. PA find themselves right back to the steal, and now they're heated.
They'll get one more gun round in lag if they can't close here. This is a pretty good spot to be in for them to convert one. For them to roll over PA another time in, as Ebox has been definitely left without its ideas, its gimmicks. OG Wizard, he saw success at A main, flying it down. So right now he's feeling similarly about Ebox as he gets a flash in the face and a smoke deeper beyond that. A nade that will effectively force him off of his initial findings that maybe going quick is an alleyway to an opening. It has not worked out for him in the slightest in this round. As a matter of fact, it's burnt them more than it does anything else. But in Ebox, the flash read by Cameron. Heard maybe even being pulled and pinned. Not quite sure how, but gets away with 9 HP. That's best case scenario.
This is PA starting to find themselves confidently, individually, still in this series. It's a hard shot that Cameron has to hit. And an individual that's really warmed up on this second map. 10 frags so far. Smoked out of A main. That's going to cause some problems here, as that was the next step. Trying to stick their nose in there. But right now, it's a lot further that Sandman has gotten. He's reached practically all the way through A main. B main, that is. They're going to be getting this information back right at the front of it. Austin has just gotten this tease, but, I mean, now they're going to be walking into a brick wall with this A bomb site.
Oh.
He's all alone.
Wide. He's going to die, surely. One bullet is all that it'll take from Wolf. I mean, just go for the peak. Or Consti could do it with the op, but so much burn damage. Good lord. Try now to just
23 frags, Tony.
hold the line.
And
yeah, no anchorage.
Sheesh. What happened? Maybe cooled down. He had such a hot start on this Anubis, but no hero spray. It'll be PA finding that 6 most likely. Mason with a long range attempt. There's no kit here. So that kill is so important. That's going to invite them in to actually consider this.
OG Wizard needs to stabilize his hand. He's been a little bit too fast on these flicks he's tried and they've crossed. And right now, another instance where he just drags his mouse and it's off with the money exposed to the next because of this miss. And now Bentley maybe snipes down one. No, it can't be though. It would have had to have been Consti the lowest of the two of them as Wolf will turn. This round will be theirs. And Consti's debating even whether or not he'd like to shift out his op skin. He's been given so much time. 5-5, a bomb planted, so much money. But this round is going to be pretty important for both of these teams to ensure their financial situation remains intact and in good standings for the last of the half. But whoever wins here, at the very least, guarantees that they tie it.
Where's Consti headed? Likely towards E-Box.
E-Box?
E-Box? No way, you're bullying me on the broadcast.
I wasn't bullying you, I was doing my own voice.
Why you bully?
E-Box.
Didn't push back. What was that denial of the Molotov? Bounced off Consti's belly. And now potentially can find an opening frag. At least a bit of contact and a little bit of a warning for PA to stay away.
Through mid. Phasing smoke after smoke. Austin will get into that of his own. Designed is this position now with flashbangs supported from the bottom of canals for him to flood into one of the two sites, and he's actually in spawn. They're going to have no idea that he's gotten this far. They're going to have some inkling that that may be happening, leading to an A-main aggression, leading to them trying to get a little bit big for their britches, but Consti needs to open his ears, needs to turn about face. He hasn't heard a single step. Yeah, Austin, no, actually eventually will be questioned, but the answer... A bullet to the face, and the PA, I mean, they've just swept this one in a really cool concept with the staggered smokes from both the CT and T sides, accompanied with flashbangs. And how can you ever imagine that Austin doesn't get at least one kill in that scenario?
Hopefully they can catch Sandman out here. Did have Sacrifice around the corner there to, cut off the escape. But it seems like they will be tested. LAG are going to try and hold on to these guns with their lives. Sacrifice should have been just spotted right now by Sandman, who doesn't seem too phased in that corner and not going to have a face to show for it. Brett now 1v4. Should be hanging on as no longer hanging on to the lead. It just went to a tie. Now he's officially in the deficit.
Again, though, I mean, it's really not that deep.
Uh-oh.
It's okay. All good. Regain. 5 rounds. They've done it. They've done their job. They can sail smoothly into that second half and not be too down in the dumps, whatever may happen here. Because obviously they're going to be playing on the back foot and trying to scrounge together whatever pennies they have in the jar for the rainy day. Nice smoke. That's the Austin CS smoke for Deep E-Box!
Is that true?
Yes!
There you go. Amazing.
I don't know if production can hear us, but if we can get a camera on that right now, it's actually... pretty cool, but if not, no worries.
The nade guy has it all. Yeah, if anybody misses a nade on PA, got no excuse. Shoulder misses. Got to get these shots right through. This is going to be a rough one. PA starting to try and scrape it back, but there is 15 health combined between Austin and Sacrifice right here, and not for long. All up to Cameron right now, who hasn't even seen himself off of the rug today. Just beginning to walk alongside. Here goes a bit of a shot down, but it's all the way put into a clutchable moment. Can you actually work and get this 6th into a 7th? That's the question. Has all the tools in the world to do it.
Closer to this mid-smoke, where it's been a curse for this Party Astronauts team, this position, so many a time, and they're just gonna stand right in front of it. Yeah, do it. I mean, he actually sprays in anticipation of somebody getting into that, and Consti, although he may get that refrag again, another instance where the half closes with sweat drenched on our foreheads, but a half in which we will have to turn over into the next. Don't go anywhere, we'll be right back.
telling you the truth. You always keep me on my toes. Don't wanna keep on going. If I can't be with you, take my heart. You knew what you were doing. Take my heart. You knew what you were doing all along. Take my heart. You knew what you were doing. You knew what you were doing all along.
Half number 2. PA. Lag. Anything but as we go full swing. An acceleration, Marky. We're seeing whether or not a pace change from either of these two teams may make the difference, because 6-all, it's difficult to call, but on Anubis, it's very hard as a CT side to even question coming back, but maybe they can do some of the same damage that they've received.
Bentley and Co. have not even really had a real CT side in this series. Yeah, this should be a refreshing feeling for them. Now being allotted into A immediately. Cameron Smoke denies, and he isn't letting Wolf out of here. Not like that. Investigation right back in towards E-Box as well. Sandman sees 3 players in this connector on the other side, but can only confirm the 2. Brett going in, continuing to find these details, still waiting in this pistol. And it's a big crack that he lays his eyes on.
Walking it up, step by step, and actually getting pretty loud about it eventually. Holding to see if Party Astronauts will break the chains of their hold. Their quote-unquote crossfire isn't really much of one, to be honest. They've sanctioned themselves off to different sides of this, and exposed eventually are the B main players.
No.
And the dual Beretta's unsuccessful and swiped out of the hands of Austin CS. And only 2 remain. What a monumental clutch this would have to be. And we've seen a couple of instances between somebody like Cameron in this series, and there's a start, there's the opening, there's a head chopped off, and so very flicky and leany. There's a player at the center site pillar that if he was dealt with, as well as perhaps the player deeper into E-Box by his comrade, there would have been a conversation, but now it feels that one has to be had about this being a real ramp-up opportunity for Lag.
Yeah, this is where Lag can go ahead and put Party Astronauts away. Obviously, you're looking onto the pistols right here, but, you know, caking into the energy pot first in this second half is, you know, going to be where Party Astronauts were destined to run. And unfortunately, I'm not sure they're actually going to be able to see into too much of that before you're actually out of here. It's an Anubis that is extremely shaky to, you know, get back onto after you've already been off on the wrong foot. So after these USBs that, you know, aren't with any magical Galil or anything that's going to come by unless they really show up as a shooting gallery, this will go one way.
Trying to flush out any of these positions with Molotovs. The CT is not really being given away in, so they'll attempt it burning in the Molly on purpose so they don't give over money to the MAC-10, but also actually kind of inadvertently giving him more room to kill because they've been softened so much by the utility prior to his spam and spray. So, I mean, Kind of backfires, to be honest with you.
Now they got some guns in their hands. Flooded to the gills is Ben Leet. Full set of nades. And now this is all a PA have to push back with. That dignity, everything that they wanted to, go ahead and hold on to in this close qualifier. These reps going to be, very important to a team like PA. Got to, season a lot of those reps. I think they got to play 6 series in the Dust 2 US Masters, but, this is the latest opportunity for this squad coming out of the player break, and already looking like their second half might break. It's a rough go about it. So much utility coming back at them in this A site. Cameron finding so much through the smoke here. It's his third already in this half, and he's flashing himself in. Gotta love that energy from Cameron.
That's chaotic. That's crazy. A crossfire that they can soon swing off of from the deeper sides of this fountain pillar. OG Wizard shaky with this spray, but I guess it'll get it done. And Consti, he's between so much utility that he'll have to go through one of them in order to have any impact in a one. As OG Wizard will rotate out on a quick sprint over to Ben Leet, both now at Cake. They're always just moving and rotating around this. He could have swung and probably found one of these guys. Now they have to be worried that it might have been a rotation back to B, and Consti just decides to not even care about the player shooting at him. That rate, I mean, bye. It's going to be a little ugly from lag. But Party Astronauts, I mean, that's a really, I wouldn't say convincing, but, good read. And what could have been a little scarier than that, OG Wizard getting a little bit shaky there, as mentioned, and Consti maybe even being able to isolate them, but all's well that ends well.
I particularly know OG Wizard to be a high sensitivity player. He's a guy that at those tier 2 lands, I'll love to, okay, it's gonna sound creepy, stand behind and watch.
He plays on 400 DPI at 2.05, so relatively normal.
That's pretty normal. That's pretty normal.
His zoom sense is even lower, so
interesting.
Weird.
Interesting. Got to see him and Ben Leet out in Kansas City before the turn of the year, Tony. Obviously, you did as well. And, that was back when they brought Fizz into the mix. He was partially retired off of PA, came back, is always a guy that they'll love to have in their cabinet. Brett's so active here in Connector, and this time is going to get the beautiful step here into B, letting out the red carpet right now. Our Party Astronauts for Brett, and what a threat he is. 3 here, and absolutely ruining them. It is a 4 save out of 1 damn man.
I don't even know what to say. Brett
in a round where they had to look at the most solid, Tony, they get embarrassed.
Cameron, is just wondering how the round is over. Like, you might get a kill or 2. And that's nice. Consolations at best. It's not like they're very wealthy right now, Lag. So as far as going for hunts are concerned, they need to be a little bit more reserved about their own money. One more player dies, and they're going to be in a little bit of hot water. But, at least Consti can lock him in towards mid/A, should he be at one of those 2 spaces. There's going to be minimal droppage coming out from PA in the next, and trying to force back, I can only assume, with the money being as close as it is to a full investment, including an AWP, that they wouldn't do anything drastic. Or maybe they will. $2,400 in loss bonus to where Cameron would have had about 5K. Austin and Sacrifice also pretty close to that line to where the others would have maybe had to sacrifice head armor or a flash 2 here and there. But, I mean, if they feel that things are getting too dangerous, actually rolling it back as Sacrifice as the conversation continues. You must have heard me.
LEG came to play today. That much is clear here, as it was a dominating first map. Party Astronauts scraped the rest out of second half. The first half there, barely able to bring it to a tie, and now with the ball in hands, Brett and Co. want to sprint to the goal line, sprint to day 2 of competition, and put the hopes out of PA right here at that first base.
Yeah, Cameron about to be the hero of the hour, perhaps, over on that B site. Just walk it through, flank him top mid, line them all up and knock him down. Initiate the strike at the bowling alley animation. This would leave Austin in a really awkward spot with a 5-7. Usually drawn into a little closer of a distance as that weapon hoped to be, and they're going to oblige in a few moments here, but he's still going to have to be not only accurate, but evasive, and no, can't happen. They take their time, and Wolf is even yet to make his way in through A main, hoping that he would have had his teammates flush someone into him, and that would have been exactly the case. So, freebies all across. PA with that rifle to be saved once again, and that is, you know, a pretty good place to be in at 10-7, so long as that remains true.
Absolutely. You can go ahead and see if you can drive this right out. PA potentially could get this onto Wolf, and then maybe getting away with this gun is a different conversation. There are shark-infested waters below Sacrifice, and I'm sure he's aware of that. Party Astronauts here get a big buy back, and this is going to have to be perfectly landed punch. LAG at this point, walking with their chin held high, so it's out for there for the taking.
Okay. Starting to see things flesh out for the Astronauts. Rifles looking good. Armor looking good. 2 kits, not bad. Practically full utility.
This is great.
It's pretty good. I mean, no sniper for, you know, Consti to say anything about what OG Wizard would like to do, so he's playing up against members where his accuracy is going to need to be required. And holy flick, see you later, Brett. No E-Box run through this time around. Bombs to left in spawn, also keep in mind. I don't know if that was intentional, but somebody's going to have to go back to get that. And nobody's really in a position to do it except for number 7. Big Wolf, the big bad.
To deal with them, trying to blow down your front door on this B site. Keeping them away. This will be cooled in a moment. Porridge is next. You're going to be right behind that smoke. Sacrifice on the stage. It's about to be pulled back. The curtain right now, and potentially the connection. OG Wizard is going to have to be quicker than he was the first time. But now it is gone, his vision. And now through the smoke, he has been lasered out of this round. A 3v2. And a point at which Cameron and Austin have no point for discussion. They have to go for this.
Closer. They inch to one another. Cameron, instead of getting up and right to the shoulder of Austin, would rather just give him some space to work with on a flash. A smoke to the bomb. No, to B main instead. They're absolutely engulfed in E-Box, however. It's a flash even deeper from the T's to try and take their fights effectively, and although they sustain heavy damage, although the hull has been breached, Wolf and Consti remain vigilant, and on their swings, they shut everything down. There's no shot back, there's no retake to be had, and the bye that felt like a Hail Mary has now been left to 7-11. And there's nothing convenient about that, Mark.
Not today. Not coming through connector right back. There was so much damage, like you pointed out. I was on my toes wondering if they were going to get that through, but PA rolled back into orbit, and looks like Wolf is just on the edge of that Molotov. Dude. He knows how to play this. It's his wheelhouse on the batter end. He knows how to fight. There's 3 players here.
Flash.
They may die alone. They might die as a trio. Cameron to get this trade, but they're putting it all out right here. It's LAG. They came to play. They clean out A main, and this may be 12 scheduled.
Look at this. I mean, 5-3. Ben Lead and OG Wizard, 2 different sides of the map. Horizontal, the line you could draw through perhaps, but cutting it right down the middle. Our lag, they're getting up and into where Ben Lead is awaiting them, but they're aware that he could be here. A nade and leaving no stone unturned. Sandman crab walks around it, and although, again, he's been left into the red, it will not matter. OG Wizard may deal with the low HP, or he'll get domed through the wall twice, and job done. Sandman, sublime effort there to close the round, despite it being done before it even began.
This is quite a great point right here for Vagrants. We talked about them winning the Diffuse the Stigma Cup just last month. They've been a part of other Tier 2 competitions the last season of ECL, obviously. They've ran out and gotten quite the respect for it. Had 7 Cyrex, had Cyrex stacked back for personal reasons, is a guy that's getting active now. Excited to see Cyrex back when he does decide to continue. Seb got replaced, was a longtime teammate. Exactly. Get back into the conversation now, and with 2 new players, a lot more experience added alongside I mean, this is great where Wolf and Consti are destructive in this series, specifically the Opera on this second map. He was farmed on the rifle.
Yeah, that's where he was doing his best work, really. Spam through this wall, Mason? Maybe, maybe not. Another player on the deep ends, though.
Covering up camera.
Murked the double peek.
I don't know if we're going too much further into the lens. Mason, he boxed back, but this is the trap. And I'm afraid the guillotine coming down right above the helmet. 2v3 right here. PA, they're going to be separated. They're going to be scattered. But back-to-back now, Sacrifice and Bentley with one more retake to keep them alive here in the Pro League 22 play-ins in North America.
The way they're going to need to pull this apart is going to have to be perfect. One, deepened in towards mid, will never be made contact with until the defusal is coming through, both at A main. Mason being the first point, will call upon his teammate in due time. A Molotov from Benleet, though, needs to be in the absolute best position possible. And where is that? At the toes of Mason, pushed into the open, help from heaven, a little late, but right on time is Consti, and the mid player has rotated all the way at about face. Wolf will be called upon. Yes, the tap turned full stick, and Benleet given all the responsibility, but the absolute monster in Wolf, not even required to be a top forwarder for lag, for lag in this game, as he'll close in the clutch.
LAG punch their stamp into tomorrow. 1-0 is life's a game right here. They've 2-0